So, hello. Today, I'll be talking to you guys about resistance of slavery. Resistance of slavery was one of the ways that some of the ways slaves tried to gain their freedom from the slave masters. And since the slave masters had a lot of control over the slaves, the slaves felt like they have no rights to do anything. They felt like they don't have any kind of freedoms, so they use some strategies to gain their freedom. I mean, they don't necessarily get their freedom, but it's like a way to fight back. And some of the strategies they used were to by fighting back, or some of them were by running away. Some tried by stealing, theft in the plantation properties. Some tried to fake illnesses to not work on a hard labor like on the plantations. So these strategies were for them to able to get their freedom pretty much, but the slave owners hired doctors on the plantation to check if the slaves were they were faking illness, or were they really sick. So most of the slave masters were not successful to identify who was ill and who was not like really ill. So most of the slaves that decided not to eat for 5 days or even more, so which caused them to act. They were too weak to stand up on their feet and work. So this proved them the slave masters that they were ill. um some of the other ways they were able to use to escape was by running away. And they usually hid in their local swamps or by woods, which was not enough, because the slave masters usually were able to they were usually patrolling during the nights for slave escapes. And usually the slaves that were caught or that were caught trying to escape were severely punished. Most of them were beaten, and they were whipped severely that they're not able to recover. And some of them even end up dying. And only like some of the slaves that escape were permanent, but usually it's hard for them because usually once they didn't have a plan to escape. They usually escape because they were scared of punishments, or they were trying to avoid work, or other ways would be like they do some kind of theft, so they were trying to avoid the punishment for that. So usually their escape was not planned, so it was easy for their slave masters to catch them. But some of the escapes, like Tubman was a 7-year-old girl. She was working as a nurse, in a I mean like a nursemaid, as a maid in a household. And she was severely beaten every day. And she was tired of that, so she decided to run away. I mean, she decided to you know she decided to steal. It was a sugar something. And she was able to escape for like 5-6 days. But then she was caught, and she received some punishments. But she was able to successfully escape after about two decades in 1848. She was able to run away without getting caught. And she's like one of the most inspiring for the slaves. And this caused the slave masters to punish other slaves who tried to run away. So this gave the other slaves that how harsh it is to escape. Like they would get beaten really bad. And one of the other famous escape was by uh, Box Brown. He was working as he was working as a enslaved in a for a farmer. He was severely punished every day. He was severely beaten. So he felt like his spirits were dying, and since he felt like all the masters had the right, si- since he felt like all the slaves have no rights to defend themselves by law, um, he decided to fight back with his slave master, which was not successful. So he thought his spirit was dying. So he decided to, with the help of another white man, he was able to ship himself from Richmond to he was able to from Richmond to Philadelphia in a wooden box, and he was able to get away on a steamboat, uh, which was able for him to escape permanently and became successful. And he was a voice for other slaves who are trying to escape. And also, some of the people that escape are permanently are usually because they are skilled and they can blend in easily with other free blacks. So they were able to use trains or boats to successfully run away. But usually on the train or on the boat, there are they do inspections to see if like the blacks had because usually the blacks had requirements like a pass paper that shows they're free. So they usually check for runaways on the bus or trains. So the other example, the other person that was able to successfully pass or escape was a woman and her husband. The woman was feeling faking illness, and her husband played as someone that was trying to help her get well, go to the doctors. So, and she was acting like she couldn't speak anything, so that kind of helped them to run away. And and once the slave masters, they were able to find out how some of them, they were able to run away easily. This caused the slave masters that they think they were wasting time and they were wasting money. So they felt like even though they were able to recapture most of the runaways, they felt like the runaways were making a big impact in the slavery system, which caused the slavery to and the capture to like go down. And I feel like this is well, compared to the slavery nowadays, I mean, like, this shows you how African Americans usually that come the slavery that usually that comes from the West Africa. It was really devastating and harsh to see humans like beat like that and not treated like humanity. And this is a really big deal in even in our lives these days. Slavery still exists in my belief. Modern day slavery, I would say. And an example I would give, it would be I can't think of a modern day slavery at the moment, but there are modern day slavery that we see pretty much almost all the time currently. And I feel like it is getting better from the past, definitely. But there's still some here and there that still trying to get better. And hopefully the people that are able to defend and fight themselves, and people like Rosa Parks, or other higher people that able to speak up and help the community, and less slavery. And that's and I want to show you a picture of this is a brown box, and this was the box he used to escape from Richmond, and he was able to ship himself. And yeah, that's one of the way they were able to smartly permanently run away. So thank you.